How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I am going over my top 5 penny stocks to buy or just to watch out for throughout the rest of the month, and then also for the next 6 months or a year, because I think that these 5 stocks really have places that they're going to go which could double or triple your money. But I will say it depends on these stocks, because penny stocks are very risky in nature as opposed to the Apples of the world or the Microsofts. Technically or typically, they don't have penny stocks, right? So penny stock is defined as a stock that's usually below $5 per share, and the share price doesn't really matter for a stock, but typically you don't see it under $5 unless it's one of these smaller market cap stocks that's maybe more risky or they've seen a large decrease in their value. I'm going to go over my top 5 stocks, and 4 of which I've talked about in different videos throughout my time on YouTube, and 2 are ones that I haven't talked about before. I'll tell you the positions that I have in them, because I do own 2 of the stocks, and I'm thinking about a position in a third one, but we're going to see how that all works. Then I also am going to give you 1 bonus stock. So I want to talk about a 6th stock, which is something that's hotly debated right now. But first of all, we're just going to start here, and I will say too, I'm not a financial advisor. I am not someone that does this in my day job. I am not like a financial stock analyst or anything like that. And I will say, when you trade penny stocks, like I said, it is riskier. This is not something where I put a lot of my money or a large portion of my money into these penny stocks. I typically just do this with a few $100s. A little bit more right now. I'm probably closer to $400 or $500 in penny stocks right now. But this is something that I would not stake your retirement on, because it's not worth the risk to me, at least in my eyes. So before we go any further, if you don't mind hitting the like button, and if you want some free stocks with Webull or Robinhood, you can get those below. You just have to deposit $100 in your Webull account and you get 2 free stocks. So it's like $20 back right away. So that's pretty nice. It can be up to $1,400. So you could come out with a lot of money, better than any of these penny stocks I'm about to cover. And the first stock that I want to talk about is NAT. So this is a company that I've talked about a lot. If you've seen this and you don't like NAT, don't click off the video, because I have 4 more stocks or 5 more stocks to talk about after this. But this is a company that really takes advantage when the economy goes down or there's turbulent times. So when the oil crisis happened just a couple months ago, or the oil decrease where oil prices went negative, NAT went through the roof because there was so much supply, so little demand, that they had to have some place to store the oil. NAT really took advantage of that. They were able to get up to $9 a share, and I don't think that necessarily they'll get up to $9 again, but it's a company that really tries to reward its shareholders. It does have an older tanker or fleet of ships, and I'll show you this video here that talks about whether I'm buying, holding, or selling these stocks. But we have seen it go down from about $5 a share this week even to about $4.50. It is something that I am considering right now buying back into. I had my price set at about $4.20 to buy more of it, and I want to buy it before that next dividend date, because they're going to pay 20 cents for the next dividend. So it is something that I'm considering, and I like to use it as a hedge against my other stocks going up. So if we decided that we need to shut down the economy again, it will really dive down, and the rest of the stocks will take a huge dip, while NAT will probably stay the same or even go up a little bit. So I think that NAT is going to do quite well in the future. And really, I've shown this in some of my videos, so definitely check that one out that I pointed to earlier. Go back and check it out at the end of the video. But these are really cyclical stocks. Like in spring and summer, those are typically, and then fall, I guess, too. So really, spring and fall are their worst seasons for how much they can charge for their tanker rates, and it's pretty dramatic. They're charging like half as much in those seasons. And then winter is really strong, summer's okay. So the fact that we were able to make so much money in the spring really sets us up well going into the future. And there are other oil tanker stocks that some people think are better values, and I would agree that typically their PE ratios are a lot lower, so they're a better value for what they can earn you, but everyone's watching NAT, so that's why I kind of like NAT in that space, because if oil tankers go up, I think NAT is really going to go up. So that was the first stock. The next stock is another one that I own, and it's Planet 13. So if you don't know, they are we'll call it an MJ company, stealing the phrase from one of the other YouTubers that I like to watch. But it is an MJ company based in Nevada. They kind of do high-end products. So they have a really large dispensary, and you can go in there, you can like try out different stuff. It's like I've never been there, but it's like a Dave & Buster's type deal, or like an Apple store or something, but for MJ. So you can go there, it's pretty cool, but they are planning on expanding heavily. And why I am invested in the stock, because I have $50 or $100 in the stock, is that Financial Education, a huge YouTuber, the largest stock market YouTuber that there is, he has covered this a couple different times, and I looked into the company. It looks like it's a stock that could really grow, but I wanted to wait a little bit longer to see their numbers be put up and brought up a little bit more, because I like to invest when the company is a little bit more stable. But he invested some money in it, about $30,000 or $40,000, and what I realized is, with how small this company is, he can dramatically change the stock price. So, for example, I think it's a $100 or $200 million company. I don't really remember right now, but it's just a very small company. And after he talked about it the first time and that he was investing in it, it shot up like 25% the next morning. And then last time he talked about it, I bought in that night, and it shot up another 10 or 15% after it opened in the morning. I think that with the constant exposure from this YouTuber, and then also just from it being a good company, I think that it could go places, and if it gets legalized, that this is okay to do on a national scale, I think they'll be able to expand, and they will be one of the leaders in that space. So I think that's kind of where we're going anyways. We need tax revenue, and right now we can't tax companies like this at a national level, as I understand. So I think that they're going to do quite well, and I invested just a small amount to see how it kind of did with the exposure to that YouTuber. The next stock I want to talk about is Genus Brands. So this is a company that I have covered in a few different videos. At first I didn't like it because it shot up so dramatically. So it was like a dollar stock. They actually issued shares at 35 cents to like $1.20 or something like that recently, like in May. And it went up to $9 or so. But the fact that they issued shares at 35 cents a few weeks later tells me that they did not think that this stock was worth that much. The fact that they're issuing it for 30 times less than what it was selling for a while there on June 3, it makes me a little bit nervous. So I'm going to wait to see it fall down even more than it is right now. I think it's going to probably fall back down around $1 or $2. But it did have some big news this week. Arnold Schwarzenegger is now in this company, and he is writing and or starring in and producing one of the kid shows. So it's a kids entertainment company that is going to be put on different streaming platforms. And he is taking stock options as his payment essentially for the near future. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, huge politician, huge actor, huge amount of money behind him, and just a lot of influence. So I think the fact that he's putting his time and effort into this, sure, he could do it pro bono just for fun, but he could go out to anyone and do that and still get paid for it, most likely. So I think that he sees something in Genus, and he's going to push them to be able to do better overall. So this is something that I'm interested in just because it has Arnold's name behind it, really. The next stock is one that I've talked about really recently, this week, and it's CELO. So I would not be surprised if you've never heard of it. I had never heard of it either. But as I was looking one day on Robintrack, which tracks the stocks on Robinhood, this was the second most bought position in portfolios one of the days this week. I think it was the 15th. So more people added this position to their portfolio than every other stock in the entire US except for Genus. So it's quite amazing because I never heard of this, but they just hit Robinhood recently. They are the largest Brazilian credit and debit card operator. They are on a pretty sizable scale, $3 billion, and they just worked out a deal with Facebook to be able to do peer-to-peer payments in WhatsApp. So if you don't know what that is, that's one of the largest holdings by Facebook. They have, I think, between 1 and 2 billion users on WhatsApp. It's really big outside the United States. They were able to come to this agreement, so they're going to be able to do transactions via this app. It's a messaging app, like I said. And I think this is going to be good for CELO. I don't know how they're going to monetize it yet, but the fact that they have Facebook now on their side, I think it's going to pull them up. And if you look here, just in the last week, they've gone up about 10%. But they are a company that is trading at a lot less PE ratio than other companies that are much bigger, like MasterCard or Visa. Now, MasterCard and Visa are massive, and they're very stable companies as opposed to CELO. And the fact that I think they're both US-based makes me feel a little bit more comfortable with some of these foreign companies. I don't know how their governments run. I don't know what kind of things are okay and not okay when they kind of mess with the numbers. I'm not saying that they're doing that, but I've seen it happen with different companies in China. So I will say that gives me some caution, but if you're looking for something that's in that space, that finance space, that could grow a lot, this could be possibly a stock for you. And then the last stock that I want to talk about is Plug Power stock. This is one that's really new on my radar, and I will say too, I forgot there is going to be that one bonus stock, but Plug Power is a company that designs hydrogen fuel cells. So if you don't know about that, I'm not surprised, because that is something that you don't hear on a regular basis. But if you've heard about Nikola Motors recently, they have hydrogen fuel cells in their cars, or that's what they're planning on. And I'll link to my video here for Nikola Motors too, because I talked about it. I think that is kind of the way that the United States is going. We're going towards more fuel efficient cars, and I think that Plug Power could do that. They're just over a penny stock. They're almost down to a penny stock today. But they're still relatively small. And if we look here at just what fuel cells are, this website talks, in this article talks about Nikola, but it also talks about Plug Power here. And fuel cell technology combines hydrogen stored in tanks with oxygen from the air to produce electricity, with water vapor as the byproduct. So it's a lot greener. We've had it around for a while, but it's a lot greener than burning oil or coal or any of that. So I think this is kind of the way that the world is going. And we can see here with Plug Power, they do have some really big clients. So they were able to use these batteries in UPS truck fleets. They also have a big contract with Amazon, where Amazon purchased 50 million shares of Plug Power, and they got into an agreement to have their technology in their warehouses. So it's used in a lot of different forklifts and smaller type of engines like that. But I think that eventually we'll get to the point where this is something that we have in a lot more facilities. A lot smaller companies can afford it, and I think it's something to be on the lookout for. And the last stock that I want to talk about is Hertz. So Hertz is something that's been in the news a lot recently because they're going bankrupt, and yet they are selling shares. For some reason, I had it explained to me a little bit why people are doing this, but for some reason, people are buying shares of Hertz. So that's just insane to me. And I put it on the list because I want to talk about it, not because I think you should buy it. But they are a company that is going bankrupt. They have said this, and they don't have money to pay back their debts. So they are asking people, or asking potential shareholders, to put money in the stock to then essentially pay off some of the debt that they have, which they're most likely just going to go down to zero. So the fact that people are investing, I think they're issuing $500 million or $1 billion worth of this. It's just insane. Please do not put money in the stock. It's not financial advice. Don't sue me for it. But please, don't put money in the stock because it's interesting or because it's going up and down 20% or 40% in a day. It's going to zero eventually, so don't be the one that gets stuck with it when you buy it at 50 cents and then it goes down to zero just because you want 50,000 shares. I think there's a story of some kid, maybe about my age, that lived out in California. He wanted to buy some Hertz stock, and he decided to put his life savings in it. I think it was 50,000, and he said, why not go big or go home, right? And he put 50,000 in it, and most likely it's going to go down to zero. So I just wanted to talk about that. But thank you guys for watching this list. I appreciate you guys watching. Again, be careful with these penny stocks. They are riskier than something like Apple, Berkshire, Tesla. but they could be something that pays out really well in the future if they do well. As you can see here from some of the stocks that I covered, they went up 500% in just a few weeks. So there's something to be cautious on. Maybe if you want some fun money in them, do that. But thank you guys for watching. If you guys want links down to Webull or Robinhood below, you want to get some free stocks, you can definitely do that. But please hit the like button, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.